If you've run a creative business for a while, I can guarantee you this annoying thing has happened to you. Today, we're talking about copycats, the worst. We're going to talk about when to act, when to let it go, how to protect your IP, and why originality always wins. Let's do it. So step one, you find out that someone's copied you and you're like, you like get a bit ragey. I don't know about you, but I get a bit like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that they're copying me. Like, who do they think they are? Oh my gosh, my business is going down because they copied me. They've taken my brand. They've taken my colors. They've taken something XYZ. They've taken some of my work and they like butchered it. So step number one, do not panic. And whatever you do, don't rage post. There is nothing worse than a name and shame post. It feels icky. It feels cringy. It feels like really not classy. And so we want to avoid that, right? What we want to do is we want to protect your reputation. And copying is bad, but naming and shaming and publicly calling someone out, to me, that feels just as bad. So what we want to do is we want to breathe before we go into like a rage spiral and panic and get anxious and think, oh my goodness, my business is going down because someone's copied me and I'm so infuriated because they've just taken my work and how could they do this? Before you go down that route, you just want to breathe. Don't panic. And we're going to walk through the steps of, okay, well, how do we actually take action from here? But it's really difficult to take good action when you're emotional, when you feel anger, when you feel frustrated, when you feel anxiety or fear. So the first thing we need to do is just try to take the heat out of it, and then we can move forward with something really rational from there. Okay? So step one, don't panic, and certainly whatever you do, don't do a rage post. Don't publicly name and shame them. Once we've kind of gathered ourselves, step two is we've got to check the facts. We need to actually make sure, are they really copying or are they just taking inspiration? I am sure that I've accidentally copied someone in the past and it's been totally unconscious, but it's like, oh man, I didn't even realize I took inspiration. I saw it on Pinterest. I loved the vibe. I love the colors. I love the whatever it is. And I think there's a difference between taking inspiration and something feeling similar than a direct carbon copy, right? So what we need to do is we need to check the facts. Again, we've taken the emotion out of it. Now we're checking the facts. We're looking at it with a critical eye and saying, okay, is this a blatant copy of my work? Like, I've had this happen where they pretty much subbed out my name and in the branding. So someone has copied my branding before. It's happened multiple times. And they pretty much subbed out my name and the rest of everything else was the same. So colors, really similar fonts. Like maybe there was one color that was different, blah, blah, blah. So it's good to look at it as, okay, is this a carbon copy? And if so, we have next steps. But is this just a lookalike and it's similar? Okay, because everyone gets inspiration from the internet. And so there is a chance that maybe they didn't even realize, maybe they saw something else online, maybe you actually copied someone else, you never know. So we need to check the facts before we take action. Now, the way I like to frame this is I think there are two routes that you can go with this copycat business. Route number one is you can choose to take it as a compliment. So you can say, okay, cool. Someone has copied me. They think I'm amazing. They've been inspired by my work. I'm just going to take it as a compliment. And if you realize, okay, it's not going to hurt my business. It's not going to hurt my brand. There's someone out there copying me and there's multiple people out there right now copying me that I'm like, I'm just going to take it as a compliment. I'm just going to go, okay, this is fine. It's part of the process. Like, there's not much I'm going to do about it. I don't have the energy to look after it. I'm just going to take it as a compliment and keep moving. Okay. So route number one, you can take it as a compliment. So let's say you look at someone and you've checked the facts and you kind of go, oh, it's pretty similar, but it's not enough for me to do something about it. I'm just going to take it as a compliment, like dust off my shoulders and keep moving and kind of forget about it, right? That's route number one. Route number two is conflict. And this is where you actually go, you know what? I've looked at it and this is a conflict of interest. This could potentially hurt my business. It could hurt my reputation. It's really important that I get this resolved and I have to take action. So you've got two routes, the compliment route or the conflict route. And neither of these options is wrong. I just want you to hear that. I'm not saying conflict in a bad way. I'm saying if this is a conflict of interest, we need to take action. We need to protect our business. But what I want you to do is I want you to know that you have a choice. You can choose which path you want to go down. And not every copycat is worth addressing, worth sending a legal letter to, worth doing all the things. So we need to decide early on, what are we going to do with this? Is this worth pursuing? Is this worth your energy? Or are you better off just continuing creating and just forgetting about it? Okay. So that's the way I think about copycats. And most of the time, I would say 8, 9 times out of 10, I'm going the compliment route. I'm just going, you know what? They've seen me online. They've been inspired. They've taken some liberties, but I'm just going to keep moving. Okay. So what do we do if we decide, okay, it's time, it's actually a conflict and I need to do something about this? That leads us into step number 3. You need to decide what action you are going to take. If you are just taking it as a compliment, then no action required. You can just keep moving, forget about it. But if you decide this is a conflict and I need to do something about it, here are your next steps. So before you lawyer up, I'm going to talk about that later, but before you lawyer up and you start to get all legal and do all that stuff, what we actually want to do is we want to just speak to them directly. So what you want to do is you want to send an email. I like to do it via email instead of a DM because I find that it feels more official, sending an email. And it's also really nice to have a paper trail of, hey, I'm actually trying to talk to you about this and I'm trying to be reasonable here. So in your email, all you are going to do is you are just going to address, hey, I noticed this online and I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but I can't help but notice that it feels very similar to what we've been creating. I know that you follow me. I know that you've seen us online, and I just wondered if we could have a chat about it. So all we're doing is we're just opening up the conversation. It's really classy. It's really polite. It's really neutral. Like, it's not coming in hot and being like, you're a copycat. You are the scum of the earth and you suck. Like, it's not doing that. We're just coming in really unemotional and curious. So when you send this email, there are 2 potential responses that this person is going to give you. The normal, happy, healthy response, the response that we would love, is, hey, you're so right. I totally see what you're saying. It wasn't conscious. I just really love what you do, and I didn't even realize. I'll take it down, or I'll change it, or I'll tweak the copy, or whatever it is that they've copied, right? That's like ideal response. And when that person responds saying, hey, you're so right, sorry, then all you need to do from there is respond, hey, totally get it. We've all been there. What I would love for you to do from here is do X, Y, Z. So let them know the actions you expect from them and when you need it done by. Again, keep your tone professional, polite, and classy, but we do really want to be clear on what needs to happen from here. Okay? Now, the second type of person is going to respond very differently. Instead of self-reflecting and empathizing, they may come back to you and say, you know what? Stuff you. You copied me. I didn't copy you. You copied me. And I didn't even look at your stuff, and I didn't even care about you, and I didn't even know who you are. And they're going to try to gaslight you. And I know this because this exact instance has happened to me. I've sent the lovely email. I was very fair, and I was like, oh my goodness, it was probably totally unconscious, but I can't help but notice, but it's the exact hex codes of my branding that you're using in all of your promo. And we're friends. Like, this is not, you're not a stranger on the other side of the world. You live around the corner from me. So it is possible that someone's going to respond negatively, and that they're going to dig their heels in, and they're going to get defensive, and they're going to start to get a little bit attacky. And so what we need to do is we need to be prepared for that second response. So that leads me to step number 4. This is when you lawyer up. So if you decide, okay, still this is a conflict, and still this is worth my energy, and I need to sort this out, then what you need to do from here is you need to speak to your lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, you need to get one. That's a problem, and that needs to be resolved. If you don't have a lawyer, it also tells me that I didn't have a lawyer until this happened to me years and years ago when I ran my agency. I didn't have a lawyer, and then I saw, and I didn't have my stuff trademarked, and I saw someone else had taken my exact tagline of my entire business and started promoting all their stuff with it. And in this instance, they were local as well. And we lived in a small town in Newcastle. And so it was a bit like, we know each other. Like, this is weird. So that really was a catalyst for me to really get dialed in on my legal stuff. So I trademark everything. I make sure that I have T's and C's on my website. I make sure that I copyright my work. So it's really important. And like, if something like this has happened to you, please know that this will just be a really great catalyst for you to get your stuff sorted, your legal stuff sorted, so that you are protecting your business, because it is an asset. In the same way that you have insurance for your home, you want to have like insurance for your business. And part of that is looking after the legal side of your business. So if you don't have a lawyer, now's the time to get one. This is a perfect catalyst for you. If you do have a lawyer, all you're going to get them to do is send a letter that feels really official. It's like send an email with their kind of like official name, branding, all the things. And so what that email from your lawyer does, or letter from your lawyer does, is it just shows that you are serious and that you are not mucking around. And that is really, really important for the person who is copying you to know, okay, I can't mess with this person. I probably got to do something about it. Okay. So that may be all you need to do in terms of legal stuff. Just literally an email from your lawyer being like kind of a cease and desist situation. If it escalates further from there, again, at every step of this journey, I'm always looking, okay, should I just brush this off and take it as a compliment? Should I step into the conflict? Compliment or conflict? Which one am I going to do? And so if you decide, okay, I'm going to escalate this further, and if you decide that commercially this makes sense, it's going to cost you to do this, it makes sense for me to take this further and escalate it further from here. So again, you're deciding, okay, is this worth pursuing further, or should I just let it go? Is it worth my energy? So lawyer up, get them to send the cease and desist letter. If it continues from there, and if you decide it's worth pursuing, then follow your lawyer's instructions from there, okay? If it's to do with your branding, it's really important that you have trademarks. Like, do the work to and invest to get your stuff trademarked, because it just is going to mean that you can just like I actually have this, I am protected in my business. So it's really, really important. You invest in your business, you invest in your branding, make sure that you trademark, make sure that you have copyrights on your stuff on your website as well. So final step number 5 in dealing with copycats. You've just got to keep doing you. One of the things that I have learned, I used to get infuriated when people would copy me. It would keep me up at night. I'd be so grumpy. Even like as a teenager, if a friend copied my outfit, I would get so like insanely enraged. I'm an Enneagram 4. I want to be unique and original and different. And so I just would, I know this about myself. It triggers me when people copy me, because I'm creative and I want to be different. So I have learned, and I have people honestly copy me. I get messages like almost every week from people saying, hey, I saw this thing online. It looks identical to yours. Or this person is doing a very similar thing to you. What's the deal? And like you guys, like people in my audience message me being like, oh, this person's copying you. It's like really blatant and obvious. And 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to take it as a compliment. I'm just going to keep moving. And the thing that comforts me, and I'm sure it will comfort you as well, is Rick Rubin says the best way to be original is to be yourself. If someone copies you, they are always going to be 3 steps behind, 5 steps behind, 10 steps behind. Why? Because you're being you. When you are blazing your own trail, it is impossible for them to be ahead of you. They will always be behind. And so I have to remind myself, if someone is copying, it's actually really sad that they need to look at other people to get ideas. I come up with ideas instantly, and I'm sure you are the same. So I really want you to feel encouraged that if you are being yourself, if you are innovating, if you are creating, if you're blazing your own trail, you do not need to worry about people copying you. Absolutely, you want to protect your business. You want to set up the legal stuff. You do not want to be a doormat. You want to hold like this standard, and you want to hold these boundaries. And when it's time to step into the conflict here, you want to do that with confidence and with boldness. But most of the time, we just have to go, I'm just going to let it go. In the words of the Frozen girl, Elsa. Is that her name? Elsa, let it go, Frozen. So we just need to let it go. We need to shake it off, and that's Taylor Swift. We need to shake it off and keep moving. And I really want you to hear that if you are listening to this, watching this, and you feel like really disappointed, really upset and frustrated that someone has copied you, I want you to know that I see you, I feel you. as someone who has struggled with this a lot, I feel you, and they're never going to be able to match you. They're never going to be able to outpace you because you're blazing your own trail. So I hope that helps you as you deal with copycats. Take it as a compliment, my friend. Just stand tall and know that it means you're doing something right, and it means that people want to emulate what you're doing. So whatever you do, don't stop what you're doing. Don't lean out. Don't hold back. Push through and keep going, keep creating, keep innovating, because you're doing something right. If someone's copying you, you're doing something right. It's a compliment, and it means you're a freaking badass. Imitation is the highest form of praise. So take it as a compliment, stand tall, and whatever you do, do not stop. Keep going. Go get 'em.